Hello and welcome, dear friends, to our channel of Family Matters. Today we will be discussing another interesting subject entitled Disability is Not Inability. I'm not alone in this discussion. With me, I have a group of beautiful ladies that will be helping me out to understand the details of this subject. My name is Solomon Michael Serun Georgie, but I'll let them have a small introduction before we dive in. From my immediate left, please.
I'm Lyria Joy Mackenzie. I'm an educator. I've been teaching for a number of years, close to 4 decades. And I am just happy to be here joining Brother Solomon to talk about disability. It doesn't mean that you are unable to do what you have to do in life. This is something that is close to my heart because I have had kids over the years who are disabled kids, and it is always a bit sad to see how they're treated differently, and I'm glad to be able to share and just give some insights on it.
Thank you, Joy. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Esther Moyo. I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm registered to practice in Zimbabwe and United Arab Emirates, and I have a passion to join conversations on disability, and I grew up in a family where one of my siblings did have some form of disability. Thank you.
Welcome, Esther. Good to have you on the channel. Last but not least,
my name is Debbie Hamilton Bogues. I am an educator for almost 40 years as well. I have a passion for students with and people with disabilities, be it physical or emotional. And I'm really happy to be a part of this panel of like-minded people. And I'm also happy to be a part of Family Matters, because each person in a family is important to that family. So here we are again talking about disability.
welcome, Debbie. 40 plus 40 plus more than 100 years of experience in our midst tonight. We will be able to understand all things disability is not inability. I'll start with you, Debbie. What exactly is disability?
Okay, there are many views on disability, but the one I want to focus on today is a broad term that is used to describe people with physical, sensory, intellectual, cognitive, and mental conditions. And these conditions actually affect their daily performances. Sometimes also it can be caused from birth, or it can be an accident after birth. And so therefore, these people, I don't like the word these people, these folks who have these disabilities sometimes are impacted in many ways. And we as people with abilities think they can't. And I'm here to diffuse that idea that because you have a disability, that means you do not have any abilities at all.
Excellent. I think we'll pick on from there. And Joy, so what exactly is it a foregone conclusion? She said, can you give us maybe other definitions of disability, and you can elaborate on the idea that it's not really an inability. What exactly is inability?
Okay. When we think of disabilities, in my view, we think of someone not being able to function normally. And that might be true in some sense, but one of the things that we need to also focus on, which is what a lot of times what we call able-bodied people miss,
right,
is the fact that these people have immense potential. And when we don't tap into those potential, we miss a lot. And we were talking earlier about the fact that 80% of people with or disabled people are unemployed in some countries. And that's a huge population of people who might not be employed because they have a disability, and we don't recognize it as an ability in another form, because they can function in society and do very, very well. And I guess later on we get into the whole idea of some examples of people who have gone on to be successful.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, speaking of examples, Esther, can you give us I mean, when we talk of disability, how do I know this is a disability and this is not? Do you have some examples of how to classify this broad spectrum of disabilities?
Well, I must say there are disabilities that are hidden, but there are also disabilities. You find a person who is probably epileptic. When you look at them, you may not tell that the person has a condition. So, and then there are also other childhood disabilities that are hidden. ADHD, maybe until a child begins to act, then you will think, okay, there must be some form of disability. So there are various disabilities. A person who is probably experiencing
Depression.
OCD,
Or
depression, you know, these people do have some form of condition that they may be needing support in. And I'm more interested in children. You know, UNICEF released research reports of that there are about 240 million globally, you know, children that have disability, and they have given funding for these worldwide in order for these children to get help. And some of the causes may have been because of missing vaccination, like polio. When a child is born, all right, and then, you know, later on they discover because of the polio vaccination that was missing, and then they are identified as having a disability. And she also mentioned illness, you know, so children going through a lot, and because of, you know, the different causes. Some that are the result of what has happened to them when they were born, you know, all right. And some could have been a surgical accident by doctors and would have resulted in this. So I just wanted to talk about how children suffer tremendously when they're identified as disabled.
That's interesting. You've unpacked it right there, especially children. Especially if a child is going to live to the age of 100, say, and they're born with the disability. It's a long and, you know, journey to tread. But we'll see how families should be coping up with the, you know, should accept, or should, is it possible to prepare even for this kind of thing? We'll really be discussing this in great detail. But before we continue, let's understand that we live in a society, and in a society we can have different perspectives. You know, you move from country X, you go to country Y, and they have a different view. So what are some of the misconceptions that hang around, you know, this euphoria of disability? Is it well accepted in all societies? Is it a misconception, and this could be cultural, it could be religion? Any of you can help out.
I want to say it's cultural in many places. I've gone to a number of places, different continents, and the people with disability are treated differently. The first place I saw people with disability who were in public spaces when I went to the United States, they were in the park, they had Down syndrome, some of them were in wheelchair, and they were in the park. It was a fair day and everyone was out. For me, that was a surprise, because not many places I've been to where I see people with physical disability and other kind of disability that is in public spaces. So for me, I've gone to other places where no one sees them. They're hidden. They're in a back room. They're in a room where they're tied up, because sometimes because of their mental state, they're very strong, and there is the need, according to the family, to prevent them from harming someone and harming themselves. They are tied up in a room, and so we see where there's a misconception, even where we are now, depending on where you are. Some parents will accept and are willing to seek assistance, where those who are in total denial, to say, my child is fine, nothing is wrong, and the child suffers quietly. And if interventions were put in place for this child can, you know, be able to do something great for him or herself.
Right,
So
right.
it's
I think that's interesting. I know of a president, it's not a well-known story, who was moving around and he was confronted by a disabled person, and he decided the next day to carry all disabled people from the city, and he threw them in a lake and they all perished. Said, I don't want to deal with this problem. So yes, society can actually be very hard on disabled people, either directly or indirectly through discrimination. But is it always dark and gloom for disabled people? I mean, what does it mean exactly? Some of us are celebrating lives by standing on shoulders of disabled people. How can it be an advantage rather than a disadvantage? Is it always a disadvantage?
Can I just rephrase your word? I say people with disability, they are people first, and then disability after.
Right.
So could we change it? Not say people, not say disabled people, because we're defining them by the negative. They are people first, and then the disability comes.
Correction
after.
accepted.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
my point.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we in some examples of people that can be role models, you know, in the realm of so-called disabled society. You know, people that have even exceeded expectations beyond normal so-called full functioning people. I know one. Stephen Hawking is a great scientist, physicist. Now he died, but he revealed a lot of secrets about, for example, the universe and some of the misconceptions. But he was a disabled person. He was wheeled in his chair and so on and so forth. So it's some examples or inspirations.
Okay, I want to just jump in with a few examples personally, and of course what we might perceive as international as well. When you mention someone like the Hawkins, a disabled person, I'm from a family where music was just around me, and so I got exposed to people like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, who are blind people, but they have done so well in music. They have become extremely successful for themselves. I remember as a child going to high school reading about Helen Keller, who was blind, was deaf, was dumb. She became an iconic figure almost. Even though she had all these disabilities. But of course, she had a lot of support. I think her parents might have been pretty wealthy, because even in her days, which was decades ago, centuries ago, I think, her parents were able to hire a living, full-time person to help her to deal with their disabilities. On a more personal level, I've taught kids who are disabled. I'm thinking specifically of a young lady in the Bahamas that was a student I had her for 2 years, who was disabled, and her father was really concerned about whether or not she's ever going to become somebody in life. Currently, she is one of the top chefs in the country, because she was able to move beyond her disability, and she studied. I think she started with home economics, then she moved on. She did her degree in some cuisine. I can't remember if it was French or whatever, but the last thing I heard was that she was doing really, really well, running a restaurant, not her own personal restaurant, for someone else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes, Esther.
Yeah, I would like to commend the Olympics committee, because they've actually come up with Olympics for those that are, challenged physically. So they do have their own Olympics, and you find them doing wonders. We have from South Africa, there's Oscar Pistorius. I think you may have heard of him with both legs. But he has managed to, run so fast that they do talk about it. I grew up with a brother who had a very bad stomach, and they face challenges like bullying as they're growing up in school. It's something he cannot do anything about, but you find they're stigmatized, they are bullied. But he was able to sing very well, and he loved music, such that before his death, he was actually called DJ Stammer. So he had embraced that nickname that had been given. And on social media, everywhere, they were just saying, oh, DJ Stammer has passed away. Whenever he sang, you could not even get the stammer from him. And but he managed to get the little fame he got. And other people were like, oh, why don't you do a GoFundMe to get his body recreated from the UK?
Wow.
Because they knew there was DJ Stammer. So I feel that everybody is good in something. It's just that probably it has not been known what they're good in. I know a dyslexic girl who was very good in art, such that she's doing AP art with the other girls, right? But she's got dyslexia and she cannot read, so I just want to say that they do wonders. People when exposed to something that they're good in, and yes, that inability is covered.
So it's a long list. Yes.
Can I add one? His name is Stephen Wilshire. He's an person with autism, but he's a savant, and he's a millionaire. Because what they do with him, he has a graphic memory. So he goes into all these big cities: London, Dubai, Singapore, wherever the big cities, New York, and he just in the helicopter, a couple of minutes, he goes, he sees, and when he comes back, he reproduces what he sees exactly as it is. You can do a research on him, Stephen Wilshire, and he's someone with autism. So what I think what we need to do, and I'm just adding to that point, that people with disability, if we can tap into where their skills are, they can be, probably sometimes better than I am, who appear not to have any kind of disability. They have skills and talents that God has given them, and therefore we need to tap into those skills and talents so they can enhance our lives as well,
Right.
and theirs.
That's very interesting. And as you talked about that issue of autism, I've observed that most autistic children tend to have also very strong graphical memory, so much so that they want things aligned, in a certain way. There is a family I went visiting. I opened the piano and did some playing, and then just took my seat away from the piano. When the child came in, he actually, pushed the chair back. He put the piano. Everything was stacked. So then, when you talked, I think they have a strong, because of some abilities going down, some of them are amplified. Another example we know is about this lady called Fanny Crosby. She went on to be one of the greatest writers and composers, but she was born blind. So that's an interesting.
And I want to add this one. He's called Nick. He's from Australia. He has no legs, no arms, and he is a swimmer.
The one on the internet.
Yes,
He's
he's
very
also a
young.
preacher, and he's not married, with family, and he's doing very well for himself.
Excellent. So we have some examples that our people on Family Matters can look up to and pick inspiration, and they're diverse. Some of them are physical, some of them are autistic, mental, and so on and so forth. So we just need to support. I think we have to rearrange the society in order to tap into the potential of these people. As we move on, how can families now on a very local level prepare? Is it possible to prepare? Let's say we have a couple just married. Should they even be thinking about these things?
I can say from a personal experience. I remember when we had our last daughter. I was near 40, and NHS called me in to say, you might need to do an abortion because this child might have Down syndrome. And I said to them, that's not an option. Whatever the child is, I'll take my child. She's one of my brother's daughters now. But I'm just saying the system will create fear in the mind of a mother or in the
Right.
family's mind, and you panic. And if you believe them, can you imagine how many kids, even with disability, who would be able to contribute to society, would have been no longer with us? So I'm just saying, families need to prepare themselves, especially if you have like chromosome problems, especially if you're related. That kind of thing has to be considered in terms of preparation. But I think each pregnancy, worse in the world in which we live, that things can happen, drastically, and this child has a disability. Also, many people do not agree with me. Vaccinations. I've had many parents who had their children either fine at birth, and at age 2, when they have their vaccination, they present characteristics of autism. So it we have to have an open mind. My grandkids were born premature. They were 6 months, 2 weeks, and I was saying to Desmond, "Oops, these kids we might be preparing for if they have special needs, but they're fine." But I'm just saying, be prepared for anything, because life can throw so many things at us which we are not prepared for.
Interesting. Joy.
Yes,
You want to
I
add
just
into
want
that?
to jump in here and say that we definitely need to prepare people for situations like these, because if the person is not prepared, and this is what I think happens in a lot of cases, the lack of knowledge will lead
Right.
people to become frustrated because they don't know what to do. And I always say to people, even though I'm not a parent, that parenting does not come with any manual. It's a matter of perspective.
Awesome.
How are you going to deal with your child who might not be born like the normal child? Or as Sister Debbie is saying, her last child. She had children before that, and they were quite normal, accepted by society. Then along comes her last child,
Right.
and the fear was there initially that this child might not be a normal child, and she prepared herself for it. And so parents do have to make some form of preparation.
So there is no manual. That's the takeaway from Joy. Esther, you want to?
Just like couples would go for maybe premarital counseling, I think when people do decide they're going to have children as well, some form of counseling would be advisable. Not that they'll be fully prepared, okay, 100%, but with some psychoeducation
Right.
before delivery of the child, a person can be.
Powerful. So we should prepare. We shouldn't run away from these things, right? And hope that all is well, because we know society can be distributed. Some families will have these problems and others will not. That is quite powerful. But what about female to male, like couples? Should they ever expect that one of them down the road, or how should they exactly deal with this? Either, as you mentioned, Esther, earlier, an accident could bring in a surgery that goes wrong. How should couples should they be thinking in this way, or is it something to expect or not to expect? Any of you can help.
It's life, so things may happen, and we just don't know how serious they can be. A simple fall can result in something really catastrophic.
Right.
It could result in brain injury. But when you expose yourself to reading about it, you will have an idea of where to head to when things do happen,
Right,
when an
right.
accident occurs, because it may not signal the end of abilities. With help, if it is they've been affected cognitively, with some brain training, they can regain their cognitive skills again. So we read about neuro psychologists. They
Yeah.
work in these fields, so with some knowledge, you'll have an idea on where to go to for help when things
Right.
do turn out that way. So I want to think that it's life. You can
It's
never know
life.
what to expect.
Right.
But when things do happen, you will have an idea of where to go to. Not that we should be negative all the time or being pessimistic.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
No.
Yes, I don't think we should live in with the fear of this might happen, this might happen. But I think when it happens, it should be have an open mind to say, what do I do next? Where do I go for support?
Right.
I just want to add there, because I've been there as a daughter, having a father who had an accident and was unable to use the entire right side of his body.
Okay.
And from waist down, he was paralyzed as well. And so that is something that was suddenly thrust upon the family. And my mother just shut up. She just refused to deal with it. And so the most of the responsibility kind of fell on me.
Okay.
And I was willing to accept my father. I was living in his house at the
Whatever
time.
state.
And
Right.
therefore, most of the family shunned him because they were like, what are we going to do with him? How are we going to help him? And I just said, you know what? Come what may. Let him stay with me and I'll figure it from there, take it from there. And so the first thing I did was move him in, got a wheelchair for him, and just deal with the problems after that, because there were some challenges that because of initial lack of knowledge, I didn't know how to deal with. So I ended up registering in one of those clinics where they give you support, they counsel you on how to deal with someone who
Right.
is paralyzed.
I think this is really powerful, and the takeaway is that you're not alone. You
Yes.
don't have to. You have to change. It's a mindset problem,
And
right?
you don't have to do it by
And if you
yourself.
overcome this initial challenge, you'll be able to help the other people. And even if you live in a society where you don't necessarily take care of someone who is disabled, actually, the knowledge is powerful because you can share it with someone. Yes. So we'll go off on a short break, and when we come back, we'll expand the topic further. But thank you very much. In the meantime, you can click the like button, subscribe, and pass the word along. And then we'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Deformity. Your worth is not defined by physical appearance. You are so much more than your body. You are strong, capable, and unique. You are beautiful.
Welcome once again to this second installment of Disability is Not Inability. Thank you for your patience, and we'll continue to navigate the dynamics of this intricate and delicate matter. Debbie, I'll start with you. Can you please educate us a little bit about the different specific forms of disability before we go on?
Okay. There's physical disability, which takes in those with mobility problems, with impairment, paralysis, amputation, as was mentioned before. There's also sensory, takes in blindness, deafness. There's intellectual disability or development, takes in like Down syndrome, autism, ADHD, on the spectrum. Psychosocial disability, like mental health, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. It's a different kind of disability. And the chronic illness disability, where people, because of whatever illness, they have now become disabled. So those are the five categories of disability that we want to look at.
Thank you. That means almost the whole world is disabled. I mean, literally, there is one person who has at least a mental problem to some degree. I mean, it's a spectrum, but there's always going to be someone that, I mean, does it always, for example, if you get 0 in a math test, are you disabled in math? I mean, how do we specifically draw the line between?
There has to be a trend of you getting zeros that we can say something is wrong. We might have a problem with dyscalculia, but if you didn't study, you wouldn't say you're disabled. So no, it has to be over a period of time and a certain intensity of this behavior that we can say, okay, this child, there's a concern about this child's performance in a particular area or presentation of kind of behaviors that we can say, there's something wrong here. We have done all these things for you or with you and nothing has changed. And then we go a bit further. Can we have this child assessed for a need?
Right.
So hence, it doesn't just happen overnight. It has to be over time, observable behaviors, and we have it investigated.
Thank you, Debbie. Actually, let's keep the discussion around children. And Esther, there is a new family member that is born. Initially, there is joy. Sometimes you even have these parties that are thrown before the child is born. And when the child is born, it is not what is really expected. It doesn't look like the others. And when the child comes home, then you have issues. So how can families really, deal with this kind of shock? Or how can they navigate the challenges of accepting a new member?
So in this family, parents and the siblings and all the family members were expectant, right?
Yes.
They were expecting and they were excited, and the child was born. So they have seen the gift that is new in their home, and then as they begin to look further, then they may notice it is not probably what they had expected. So they will go through what we call a grieving a grieving process. It is treated as a loss. So you may find that they will move from one stage of experiences to another. So it may start off as a shock, a disbelief. And then there is anger also involved. Like, why is it in this way? Exactly, and blame. Then there could be bargaining, like, oh, why did we have this child? Or, they begin to think of many reasons or try to find some justification. Actually, they will go through stages that could be probably 7, until they get to the acceptance stage.
Yes. Right.
That stage and it will take longer for other people. So it may take longer for some members of the family, and others may accept it quicker than others. So
Absolutely.
it just needs patience to understand that probably the mom is taking it slowly, unlike other family members. So the process, we would just treat it as a grieving process. They've experienced some kind of loss. So there's a lot then that will come into play. They probably need to be solution focused. They probably need to change their to do some cognitive restructuring. Like, okay, we're expecting this, but now this is happening. A lot then will have to happen until probably they can say, okay, we have arrived at an acceptance stage. Hopefully.
Very
So
profound.
This is
Very profound.
some of the things I'll go through.
I'll come to you. I'll just throw this at you, generally speaking, to say that let's because this is a long list you made, right? But let's pick out one or two things and talk about them. Let's say the child is blind. What specific things? Oh, the child is missing a limb. How do parents and siblings around begin to specifically prepare for a new life without eyes, without this? I mean, something that yes, Joy.
I just want to preface my response, because I probably just give a general response to that by saying that having a child who is disabled does not define who that child will become in life. We have to open ourselves and understand that this has happened, and it doesn't mean that my child is not able to function in society, or my child will never become something in life, whatever dream you had for your child. You cannot now use that disability and say, this is what is gonna be the life of my child. You cannot. And I go back to my previous example where I mentioned, I'm sure when Stevie Wonder's parents saw him, or Ray Charles' parents saw him and noticed that they were blind, they were like, oh my God, this is the end for my child. What is going to happen to him? And look at what those people moved on and became in life. Very, very successful people. So I just want to say that, put that out there. Do not let that disability define your child or define the person who has it. Okay.
Right.
And so in the context of blindness, we have come, well, the world that we live in now, we have come to the stage where there are so many technology opportunity for people who are blind to do well in life. When I was a child, which was years ago, there was the whole Braille for them. You could teach them to write using Braille. I remember attending university with a young man who was blind. He was in his early 20s, but he was blind, and he always came to class with his Braille equipment, and he took part just like everyone else. And he ended the program, which was our bachelor's program, as the top student.
Wow.
He is now one of our politicians in my country, and doing quite well for himself, even though he's blind. So can you imagine if his parents had just locked him in a back room and say, okay, he's blind, he's not going to become anything in life?
I think this is profound. Yeah.
Is that usually people and parents are more receptive to physical disability,
Right.
the visible disability, than they are to the other disability with neurodiverse disabilities. Because with a child with autism, what they present is not usually socially acceptable. They might scream out, they might be doing all this stemming, and so parents might want to see that. They have ADHD, we are with them in the mall, and they're throwing a tantrum, they're throwing a fit. You're not playing with them, and they just keep bouncing all about, and parents feeling comfortable. And so therefore, it depends on the child, on the disability, where acceptance happens.
Right.
And so therefore, it's the same thing for us, even as teachers in the classroom. You take a child with one leg, he's seated and he's quite fine, he can learn, his brain is okay. But a child with a neurodiverse challenges, what do I do with him? What do I do with her? And there are more questions as to what to do than a child with physical disability.
Wow. Yes, Esther. That's you want to.
Now that she's talked about it, I began to think about what we term geriatrics.
Yeah,
Right,
geriatrics. Yes.
When we're looking at some old age, here parents that are probably advanced in age, they begin to experience dementia, and cannot be treated. But it's coping. What can we do to cope with such a person?
Absolutely.
Yes, because there are a lot of challenges that will come when, as a caregiver to a parent who is experiencing dementia and other disabilities that may come about because of old age. So it is something that can be done because of the psychoeducation that's available. Joining support groups, getting ideas on what you can do in order for, as you are caring after, and what you can do as well as a caregiver, so that you do not experience burnout.
Burnout, yes.
Children that need this support, parents that need the support, it takes a lot of mental energy. Yes, a lot of mental sweat.
I
And so
agree.
there is that knowledge that you need to, and so joining a support group with people who are experienced in these areas will be of great help.
That's very profound. It's a real challenge. You talked about geriatrics in one aspect, but what about geriatric parents that are having children with disability? 70 years, 80-year-olds, they cannot take care of these people anymore, and sometimes there is confusion about the real. How do you think these parents, do they have hope? I mean, they've taken care of a disabled person for 40, 50 years, but time has come, they cannot do that anymore, and they need help. And probably the other children have moved on with life. They've gone to another city, they are married, they're not going to take care of this
Sibling.
disabled brother or sister. They have a life to live. So this conundrum here, how do families, how should they navigate? Is there societies, communities, religious groups, or groups of people that can give advice? Because you cannot do it alone sometimes, you need help.
From my experience, there's always one sibling. There's always one sibling who is willing to sacrifice his or her life to support. So I think it takes a village, because that person might experience burnout. Their dreams and aspirations might have to be deferred because I'm taking care of my sibling. But if we see what we're doing for them as some kind of joy,
Right.
it will impact us differently. I've had a neighbor, her daughter she has Down syndrome, and she was involved with everything. Everything in community, she was there. They showed up, and so therefore everybody knew her. And so when they became older parents, there were many people when it comes to want to help. What can we do for her? And so therefore, if we involve these people with these disabilities in our community, in our church life or school life, whatever community activities that we involve them in, they too will also feel a part of a community,
Right.
and they won't feel left out. Goes back to the family. We need to put in place systems within our families to support this, because if the parents are getting old, someone make something legal, get a carer. You're going to be paying this care to take care of this person, with somebody else to also supervise this care, because sometimes they get abused. Especially if they are non-verbal and they can't articulate what's happening to them. So there has to be some kind of care package. Depending on which country you are in or where you are, certain countries the state provides support for people with disability, those with cognitive needs, and they are in care homes, and they're
care homes, yes.
Yeah, so therefore it takes planning. We should plan. We should plan that when I reach this age, what's next for this child. Sometimes the child might predecease some of the parents because of their disability. But the cases where the parents are the ones who will outlive this child, it has to be documented who will be in charge, who will care for this child until this child passes away.
It's very important. I mean, I didn't think about that. So even disabled children have a role to play in your afterlife, basically. Esther, I saw your signature. Did you want to say something?
When she talked about this, I just remembered here in the United Arab Emirates, they actually call them people of determination, to try and do away that disability is inability. Determination means they refer to as people of determination because they're not giving up on life. They can strive, they can survive in this world. There are things they can do, and there are centers around. Suppose this happens to somebody who is in a different country looking for a place where the government offers support. There are places like that. So looking for a place like this is, one way of trying to deal with the issue that's at hand. So in communities, you will find places where they can take in children, or where they can give you the support that you need while at home with a child, whether the child needs crutches or they actually need a wheelchair. And talking with your doctors. In the society, I believe in most countries, they're trying to do something about it. They even have disability acts that are in place, and some things need to be legal. So you can actually get in trouble with the law when you do not do what is required.
Parking spots and all these
This is
things
it.
for
So I
yeah.
feel societies are doing something like that.
That's interesting. I think some societies are doing better than others, you know. We cannot tell governments what to do, but at least we can tell individual families, you know, what to do exactly.
We can also become advocates.
Advocates.
We need to be
That's the point
advocates
I wanted.
because they can't speak for themselves, but we see the need, and so therefore we need to speak on their behalf.
Right.
My daughter is doing her practicum in Jamaica, and she's working on children's home with kids with disability. And she says, yes, some parents will show up. Parents are happy to come and look after their children, even though they are in this care setting. And so what is important is education. We need to educate our people with and without disability. So if there's a need, I can support. And do not create a stigma where parents feel, okay, no, this is my child and I love my child, whatever state this child is in. And so therefore you reduce the stigma. If as parent you're showing love to your child, so okay, that's not so bad after all, you know. And so therefore you'll have a broader community, a broader pool of people as support and as help to support with your child with disability.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, listening to you, Debbie, the thought that comes to mind is that parents, family, communities, they have a responsibility to demystify the whole idea of someone with disability being unable to do anything. So we have to get to the stage where we say, look, having a disabled child or a child with disability does not equate inability.
That's
You
very
know,
good.
yeah,
I mean,
understand?
you see them as just taking, but they never give anything.
Giving,
We shouldn't
yes.
see them that way.
Yes,
But now
yes.
let's shift gears a little bit and say, what role, I mean, to what extent should we expect disabled people to, or people with disabilities to get involved in marital matters? Well, I mean, should we expect, is it okay for my son or daughter to date someone who has some
What kind of
physical
disability? What kind of disability?
And what things can we do? Or are you letting the disabled people marry themselves? I say disabled people marry themselves. For me, I am not comfortable. As parents, what's your opinion when it comes to, you know, you open the door and your son or daughter is walking in with someone? What's your opinion? What should parents be thinking about these things?
We need to start with education. That's how I think of it.
I think I admire. I follow this young lady. She is Nigerian, British Nigerian, and her husband is in a wheelchair. He has a scooter, so he can drive. You know, they have all these things that they adjust so they can drive, whatever else. And she's highly educated. And I'm just saying, personally, I'm just saying, I have 4 daughters. What would my response be? But they eventually got married, and they have children, and they're living fine. And it's her choice. And so therefore what we need to do as well, learning in what we are studying about love gives choice. Sometimes some things are difficult to accept, but for that family, her parents, his parents, they're quite fine. He's able to do what he can do. He gets whatever subsistence from the government, but he also has a small business which he also helps himself. But I think it's going to boil down to this individual and the choice that you make. And so it's going to be an individual choice and family choice.
And how you educate your child,
You educate your child.
to accept or embrace someone's disability as not necessarily inability. And I'm thinking of an athlete. I was trying to find her name. There is an athlete who was in the Paris Olympics who is married to this gentleman who is a special needs person or a person of determination, as they say here. And she seemed quite happy when her husband was taking part in the Special Olympics. After the Olympics, you should have seen the joy on her face.
Interesting.
You know,
We're in this together.
If yes, and you can see that she supports his sporting abilities to the extent where he got a gold medal in the Special
That's what I'm
Olympics.
saying. Physical
Yes.
disability is different. If you're blind, if you have those, but in terms of neurodiverse disabilities, a child with autism, with Down syndrome, you know, we wanted to get married. You know, those kind of things are serious questions to ask.
Those are questions. Yes, Esther,
And
you've been quiet.
I always come back to counseling. you know, the premarital counseling, and it can even extend to the rest of the family. If they've made up their mind and this is the person they want to get married to, counseling should be there. And I guess joining support groups, I will always advocate for this, because in this world you will find people in the same situation. So counseling and joining support groups throughout, you know,
Right.
will be helpful.
They'll be helpful. So basically, it's two things. We should demystify this mindset of trying to, you know, discriminate against these people. But also, if we have a child that is with you, you should give them some skills that will help them to cope. Because you know, it's a marriage. You know, you have to behave in a certain way and so on and so forth. But if you leave them isolated and they don't get any skills, then we'll be in trouble. Now, speaking of skills, what are some of the skills that we can empower ourselves so that we will better communicate? You know, because you know, there is a lady I know. I traveled once to a country and I joined some church community briefly, and I noticed that she was using sign language. You know, but she was doing it even better than some of the people who did it on TV. So I walked to her after that and inquired, where did she learn? She said, no, my husband is actually deaf. And so I said, okay, so how did you learn to do it? He said, no, I just learned by myself because I interacted with him, and after some time his brother too is also deaf, so I learned how to communicate. And I was thinking, so are there things that we can do as people to better engage these people so that we can live a better,
I think understanding as a community for people or families with children with, say, Down syndrome, accommodate them. They might demand more of your time. Same thing for kids with ADHD. If we have our classes and we have our outings and our trips, support the families with them in terms of movement, their safety as well. Be extra precautious around like water and wherever you're going with them, a campsite. There's fire there. Be very cautious about risk. Assess the risk that they might present, but do not exclude them from the event. Because we need to do a risk assessment. Is it a safe place for you to go? We need to be real in terms of how we approach the situation with them. We're going on a weekend camp. Do we have enough people to supervise that child who might just act up without any prior notice? Somebody who the child responds to as well. Someone who knows that child very well. So therefore, if the child is experiencing any kind of tantrum, any kind of stimuli, you can say, okay, calm, let's go for a walk. Someone who understands. So we need to create this kind of awareness among ourselves, and within the community, say, if I see this child dashing away,
right,
let me try to grab this child, because this child is to restrain, but this child is safe and is protected.
And I also want to add that a lot of times in the school system, because I'm a teacher, so I'm going to be always coming back to that, to my touchstone. We do exclude them because we are afraid. And I believe that we can, with the help of the parents, and even the idea of inviting the parents, you're taking them on a trip, you're taking them to a camp, whatever it is, find out if the parents are available and can come along, be support. Because as you said, Debbie, it is so important to include them in activities outside of the classroom so that they are not feeling isolated or left out.
Because I took a trip last week with some of my kids with disability, and one parent came with a group. I'm just saying, include as much as we possibly can. Or risk assess just for safety purposes. Have it risk assessed.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we're running out of time, but I have one more question that our viewers just posted here. It's related to financials. Sometimes our financial situation can change and take a heavy toll, because suddenly now we have to take care of this one person, and so the other children feel like they don't get enough. How do parents navigate this challenge? Is it possible to treat everything disabled, just you go gang on and put all your money in, because yes, you love this person, you love them, and then sacrifice what would have been for others just because you want to breach this emotional thing? What is the financial advice, do you think? They want to hear something, maybe not exactly, but they want to hear something financial that
May I respond? If you had a child who was ill, just naturally ill, and needs to do physio, needs to do a surgery, would have found the money, would have found the time, and that child would do the surgery, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
It's the same thing for disability. It might be, only thing is a long term. It might be a long term investment, but that child is yours. That child is ours. So therefore, as a family, you have to probably replan. Okay, we had planned to do X and Y and said, no, we can't. Speak to the family members. I have a parent, she has about 6 kids. And she brought him to my school because of this one child with disability. And the others are very angry. They don't want to be at my school. But she has brought him to my school because of, she said that she figured that we'll take care of him. And the brother doesn't want to have anything to do with him at school. But she's saying she's putting all her time and money on him because he needs it. The others don't. And I think if the family comes together to say, okay, we have a child with a need, this time be spent with this child because he has a need. You don't have a particular need. You don't have poor vision. You don't have to have glasses, but you have a poor. I need to buy a pair of glasses. So if you treat it in that light, to say, well, because there's a need, we have to all intervene. It might cause us to adjust our budgets.
Right.
Say, okay, we can no longer do X and Y and Z because of this case. But keep it in the family a constant reminder that we are a family and the support is needed. Keep reminding at some point you're chipping away at somebody's love for this brother or this sister to say, okay, let me help them. And you look at your finances and then you say, okay, we can't, but we can. We can not too expensive. This time we go cheaper, but we're still enjoying ourselves as a family.
That's very profound. So parting shots from both of you, either related to that or anything. I'll go with you, Joy, first.
Okay, very quickly, I just want to add to that
yes,
there are a number of organizations that do help. I am thinking of the Lions Club that is always willing to help with anyone who is experiencing financial difficulties because they can't afford the assessment.
Right.
It can be pretty expensive to go to an ophthalmologist for some people. They are always willing to help with that. They are always willing to help with providing glasses if the person needs glasses, for example.
Right. Doctors Without Borders.
Yes. And then we have the Kiwanis. We have a couple of organizations across the world that
GoFundMe as well.
Yes, GoFundMe is another quite a popular one as well. And they are always willing to come on board if you express your need, whether in social media or within your community, and that community can take it to them.
We'll be sharing these with our viewers, in the links. I think this is very useful.
So there's help out there for those who might be experiencing financial
NGOs,
NGOs, right? All right. Yes, Esther.
That's what I wanted to talk about. That they are NGOs and they actually some give direct funding to the service provider, and some would give the funding to the parent or caregiver. And they're also what you call fundraising for a purpose, probably a concert for a purpose. So if you get together with a community that helps to raise funding, they can do maybe a music concert for a specific purpose. So I am aware of some that have done that here in the UAE. So reading about it and trying to access as much information as you can will help.
Right.
That's what I want.
And just to add to that,
yes,
I have done a couple in my time where I actually have a concept that I give a specific example. We had a group of kids in the Bahamas who needed help with graduation. I know this is a little bit off, but just to show that if you have a heart that's willing and you can tap into resources, you can make a difference. And they needed help financially, and so I went to the managers of 2 musicians, popular musicians in the country, and asked them if their protege could donate their time to this concert, because I know if people are aware that these guys are coming to perform, we would have a sellout concert, and that's exactly what happened. Once we advertised that these 2 gentlemen were coming to participate, to perform at this concert, I had printed 700 tickets for the concert. At the end of the day, I had to do 7,000 tickets.
Wow.
To yes, and so those kids were able to not only participate, but we had a weekend off at a very expensive hotel, I will not call names, for everyone involved, because we had
No, funds.
generated so much funds for that.
This is
So-
very, very good. So you are not alone, brothers and sisters. You don't have to be alone. And here on Family Matters, we have, this plethora of people with different experiences that you can, approach in private, and they'll, help you navigate some of the challenges. They may not be exactly the right people, but they'll switch you or connect you to someone who can. And please never give up. There is always hope. Thank you very much, as usual, for staying with us this long. And until next time, au revoir, goodbye.